When it comes to planning for your future, you want someone you can trust. At Prairie State Investments, Mark Pfeiffer is here to help you build a plan that fits your life, your family, and your goals. Whether it's retirement, college savings, or investing wisely for tomorrow, Mark has the knowledge and local commitment to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future up to chance. Call Mark Pfeiffer at Prairie State Investments today at 815-668-8131 and start investing with confidence. Ready to outfit your team or gear up for the season? Get trusted service, custom designs, and hometown commitment from Breedlove Sporting Goods, serving Kewanee and the surrounding communities since 1949. From quality athletic equipment, team uniforms, screen printing, and embroidery to trophies and awards, Breedlove's has what you need to compete with confidence. Whether you're a coach, an athlete, or a supporter of local sports, they've got you covered. Call them today at 309-852-2434 to outfit your squad, customize your gear, or plan your next fundraiser. That's 309-852-2434. Breedlove Sporting Goods. Support local champions and get ready to play hard and finish strong. Welcome to NUIC All Access. I am your host, Kyle Kantmeyer. Today, we feature three guests from the Pearl City Wolves baseball team. We have head coach Ryne Plager, along with all conference players Kip Martens and Brandon Hille. Here's a look at the Pearl City program over the past couple years. 2023 NUIC North Co-Conference champions, 2023 regional champions. Coach Plager has a 71-63 overall record, third all-time in Pearl City history, moving in on current assistant coach Daryl Pauly as well, as he sits at 76 career wins. Currently, Pearl City sits at 13-4 overall and are 7-1 in NUIC North action, moving into the final week of conference play. Guys, it's been a heck of a ride this year for you guys. We want to welcome you to the show and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Kyle.
Coach, we're going to start with you. Last year, you finished in fourth place in the NUIC North. You split with Dakota and Lena-Winslow in the series, but then you were swept by Forreston. What did that expose about your program or show you what you needed to work on moving into this season?
Yeah, I think being able to split with Lena and Dakota kind of shows that we can play with the top of the competition, but then when you run into Forreston and you get beat pretty bad, swept out, that shows kind of the gap of where what you had to be, a top team in the conference. So I think that showed us where we need to get to.
And Kip, splitting with the top teams and not being able to separate yourselves, what did you feel was missing that kept you guys from taking control last season?
Yeah, I would say it really just consistency. We always were like an on and off team. Some days we would show up and some days we wouldn't. That was just really our entire problem.
And Brandon, going through that season, what did you feel didn't really meet the standard, and where did you feel personally that you may have fallen short as well?
Yeah, I feel like Kip said about consistency, we were always just up and down, and we had a few guys that weren't really like a part of the team at times. They kind of get in their heads a lot, and I feel like I was kind of that way too, where I could have been more of a leader, kept the energy going in that dugout.
Coach, the senior groups experienced a regional championship in 2023, a sectional semifinal loss to Sterling Newman. How much did that run shape what this team's expectations are and help build to where you're at right now in 2026?
Yeah, with that 2023 team, these guys were freshmen, so they got some experience. They both got a lot of innings and that thing, so that's good for those guys. Experience wise, 23 was a little different. We had Brinkmeyer and those guys where, we could trot him out there and it was almost a guaranteed win. Now we've got a better team, chemistry, we rely on everybody instead of having one or two guys that we got to really ride. So, but I think the experience wise for these guys in the postseason, having that is huge.
And Brandon, going back to that 2023 season, being a freshman, what did that experience and that run mean to you and what it takes to actually win when it matters the most?
Yeah, it definitely meant a lot, especially getting to learn from those seniors on that team like Brinkmeyer and Purdue. Getting to see them go out there and win with that confidence, it shows that we could do the same thing going forward.
And Kip, you were there for that high in 2023 and then the early exit in 2024. What did that help strengthen your edge and your approach to the game on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so losing like Brinkmeyer that 2023 season and going to that 2024 season, I realized that I need to be someone needs to step up and take control and be a leader. And that's what I need to do.
Coach, you fast forward to this season, you guys are off to a 13-4 start, 7-1. You've swept Forreston, Orangeville, Du-Pec. What changed in how you approach the teams this year compared to what has gone on over the past 2 seasons?
Yeah, I think we focus, open up with Forreston to start conference. That was kind of our first test. We can get past that, and then we try to build off of that. And being fortunate enough to sweep Forreston, then we get on Orangeville, and then had to split with Dakota, good squad, and then get Du-Pec. So we're set up for a good shape heading into this week. You would have liked to get that one against Dakota and kind of be in the upper hand, but that's all right. That's the way we'll battle it out. So.
And Brandon, sweeping Forreston this year after being swept last year, what did that series to open up conference play this year mean to you as a group, and what did it prove about this year's team?
I think it proved to us that we could play with everybody. We got the tools to win now, and we could take on anybody no matter how good they are, and just show that we're good enough to play with anybody as well.
And Kip, you were talking about consistency before. You guys are handling that business this year. What's been the difference in that consistency and approach this season?
Yeah, I just feel like all around, like we can do the job. Like every guy, like we're not just relying on like the top of the order. Like throughout the entire lineup, we can all like put the ball in play, and we can just do a job.
And Coach, going to that series with Dakota, you split this year, but it seems like you've split with Dakota a lot over the past several years. What is it about that opponent with Dakota in that series that you haven't really been able to break through to get that sweep?
Yeah, I don't know. We were right there. I went back and looked at some stats on that. We leave 9 guys on base. I think we had bases loaded. Maybe once we had runners on second, third, nobody out, and couldn't get the big hit to break it open. I will say we were down early, rallied back there at the end, and still had a guy on base. When then that third out, so we were right there. I don't know what sometimes that's just baseball, when the ball doesn't find a hole and the big hit doesn't happen, that's just baseball. So, but yeah, be nice to get both of those.
And Brandon, splitting with Dakota 2 weeks ago now, what does that teach you heading into a championship series coming up with Lena-Winslow?
I think that taught us that errors and all the little things in baseball really matter, because I think we had a couple errors that game that ended up costing us a run or two, where we did end up losing our second one by 1, which could really hurt, especially going to a team against Lena where they don't make a lot of mistakes. So if we could limit ours, it'll be a good game.
And Kip, now it comes down to Lena-Winslow for the conference title. Obviously, last year, Forreston was conference champs. Prior to that, Lena-Winslow was back-to-back conference champs. What has to be different this time around for Pearl City to regain that conference championship?
Yeah, like I was saying, we just got to be consistent. We just got to come ready to play and just give it our all, I guess.
So, Coach, back to you. This point in the season, what do you feel matters the most? Is it execution or staying composed, or is it a combination of both?
Well, definitely a combination of both, but I would say composure. Bad stuff's going to happen in baseball. You're going to have an error. The ball's going to find you. So, we can't compound mistakes, and let that eat us up. Another thing I've tried to tell with these guys, if a team scores on us, in the top of an inning, we got to be able to answer back. We can't go out and have a quick inning and then lose momentum. I think that'll be the biggest thing this week is, if we get the momentum, we gotta hammer on it. And if something bad happens, we got to adjust and then have another long inning in the bottom half. So But at that same execution, we get to the plate, we got to have a good approach to attack, especially with Madigan. And we're going to see him. We'll have to try and get pitch counts up. What he's going to do. He's been around for 4 years. We see him every year, so we know what he's got.
Yeah, that's always a good one when you got Madigan getting ready to take the mound against you for sure. Brandon, when the moment gets big, as it will be this week with the conference title on the line, what are you internally thinking, trying to digest, going through your mental approach and focus?
For me, it's probably about taking a second to relax and go back to like what I know. Like I've been on varsity for 4 years, so has Kip. We have a lot of guys who've been on there for 3 years, 2 years. So we all know what we're doing. We've all been there. It's just a matter of staying composed and not panicking.
And Kip, over the past few years, we're used to seeing you in the leadoff position. Coach has dropped you into that 3 hole. He says that you got a little bit more power in your bat, and obviously you've always been a very good hitter that can hit with good power as well. But at the same time, you have a lot of speed. How do you stay aggressive without pressing?
Yeah, so really you just gotta have an approach at the plate. Just know what you're gonna do. And like balls outside, take it outside, and got 2 strikes on you, just choke up and just protect.
And Coach, what separates a team, in your opinion, that gets to this point from one that actually finishes it and comes out as the champion?
Yeah, I think at this point, we've been tested. We had a bad week 2 weeks ago, which I think it was good for us to learn a little adversity. But at this point in the season, we're getting into the postseason. We're trying to get playing our best baseball right now. So, to finish the conference thing, you got to play the game the right way, play clean, and have a ball, find a hole every once in a while always helps. So,
Gotta have the baseball god looking down on you, right?
absolutely.
Brandon, who's the guy on this team that you feel you trust the most when things get tight, and why do you trust this person?
I'd have to say Kip. He's got the most experience. I've played baseball with him for probably 12 years. He's always someone I could go back to and rely on. But I still feel like everybody on this team you could trust to, come up big at that time.
And Kip, what about you? Who do you trust the most on this team?
Uh Probably Brandon. I mean, we've been together for like 12 plus years, and it's just yeah, we've been in those situations before, and it's just find a way to come out on top.
So, Kip, if momentum swings against you, what do you do to reset yourself? How do you go about that? And how do you go about leading it into the other players on the field with you?
Yeah, so for myself, I like to just take a step back and like reset. Like at the plate, I like to step out from the box, just like clear my mind, and just reset mentally. And then to get my teammates going, I like to. I think like energy and like vibes are a big thing. So I like to make sure the dugouts like paying attention into the game and just like providing that energy that's needed to keep everyone like together and just make sure we click.
Coach, you're a regional host this year. You have a great opportunity to be a top 4 seed. Does that change anything in your approach heading into the last week of play before seedings come out?
No, I don't think nothing changes. We've always been kind of taking a game by game thing. You can't play for tomorrow. Especially with Lena, Lena's gonna be a top 1, 2 seed, 3 seed, depending on how the week goes. There's no better time to get your seeding than after this week. So nothing changes.
Brandon, the possibility of seeing a Galena or Lena-Winslow again in regionals, or teams such as Milledgeville and Warren-Stockton who've already beaten you this season, what would be your reaction to seeing that kind of a bracket, and how would you go about approaching it for that regional semifinal game?
I mean, I'd say I'm pretty excited. We're a good team, not to sleep on us. So going against Galena or Lena, I think we could still take on anybody. And then those teams that we've already lost to, it'd be a good revenge game, showing that that was just a one-time deal and not to mess with us anymore.
And Kip, East Dubuque might not be what we've seen over the last several years, but they could still be very dangerous. They have pulled out wins against some teams that, looking on paper, the other team should have won, but East Dubuque manages to find a way to get those wins. How do you avoid overlooking anybody?
Yeah, you just gotta can't sleep on anyone. You gotta mentally prepare yourself before the game that sure you beat them once, but it's baseball. Anything can happen, and you just gotta be ready to take care of business.
So, coach, going off of that, how do you get these guys to prepare to respect every opponent without playing tight at the same time?
Yeah, I think probably the best example, that Warren-Stockton game. You know, we were on a pretty good roll. Like we had 6, 7 wins in a row, and kind of walked in thinking we were going to do it, and all of a sudden, stuff's not going our way, ball's not finding a hole, and the kid's dealing on the mound, and all of a sudden, before you know it, it's 3-0, 4-0, 5, and all of a sudden we're panicking, and in that way it didn't go away. But at the same time, Dakota and that stuff where we get down and we've had rallies to come back. So I know these guys got it. I got what it takes when stuff gets tight. We can still get it done. But
And Brandon, you've been in a regional championship game. You've also lost in the regional quarterfinals and then the regional semifinals. What do you feel is the biggest mistake teams make when it comes to regional play?
I think they think too much about the regular season. Like, yeah, just because you beat them once doesn't mean it's going to go the exact same way. Like Kip said, it's like baseball. Sometimes the guys aren't on your side, or sometimes it's just not playing your best because you slept on them.
And Kip, do you feel that there's any difference in intensity between the regular season and once you hit postseason play?
Yeah, I feel like everyone realizes that this could be their last game, so they're all fighting with tooth and claw, and just everyone's just like on edge, I guess.
I mean, that's something that we saw last year out of River Ridge Scales Mountain. They entered as an 8 seed, had to play in that play-in game in the regional quarterfinals, and they took that all the way to the sectional championship game before losing to Fulton. And there was definitely a game that, or a team that you didn't see making that type of run when the regional brackets came out, but they did. And yeah, you definitely need to avoid overlooking anybody, but at the same time, uh, like you stated, you get a bunch of seniors out there that know it's win or go home and be done with high school baseball. It definitely changes that persona around the game. Coach, what does finishing actually look like for this group? Not in words, but in action. How do you want to see this team finish out their season?
well, I think it starts this week. We had some goals at the beginning of the year. Um, I wanted to break. I think we had 18 wins in 23. The goal was to beat that record. A conference championship, a regional championship, and then after that, it's anybody's game after that. So, we're on pace. A few rainouts. A few losses that we didn't think, but we also got a few wins that I was not thinking on. But starts this week with conference. We take care of business this week, and then get a couple weeks before regionals to tighten everything up and play baseball.
Brandon, if this season were to end short, hypothetically speaking, what do you feel would be the cause of that?
I think it might be because we'll start like pressing a little bit. We're usually not too great on the team when we start panicking, but I feel like as long as we stay back to our practices and knowing what we know, and then playing well, I'm sure we'll do fine.
And Kip, if it ends the way that you want, what will you have done consistently to be able to make that happen?
Definitely, defense, like not making those little silly mistakes. Those just kill, and that really is a momentum builder for when we go in and bat, and just keep the bats going and just do what we normally do.
And coach, you've had these seniors now for 4 years, and a lot of them have been 3-year and 4-year starters for you. Where have you seen the most growth in leadership from the senior class?
Well, especially with these two, from being quiet little freshmen, when we kind of started this to, now they're getting more vocal. But I'd say probably the biggest example of that, last week against Du-Pec, we're down 3-0. Ball's not finding the hole, like that. And Brandon was leading off, I think it was the 6th inning, with Kip right behind. I said, hey, you two seniors, now's the time to show out and act like seniors. And, we get on base and start a big rally. Yeah, there might not be that vocal, leadership wise, but their play backs that up. So I think the team follows where these guys go.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker of a game. Uh, Brandon, what are you demanding from your teammates this week?
Especially this week with Lena, we're gonna need all the energy we could get. We can't, start pouting or try to get into our heads, because once we get in our heads, we're not gonna win, because you can't win if you're fighting yourself and the team. So we just gotta stay mentally strong this whole week against a strong team like Lena.
And Kip, what are you refusing to let happen again as this week goes on, and then obviously the subsequent weeks following going into regional play?
Yeah, we can't sleep on anyone. We gotta come ready to play every day. Like, it doesn't matter who we're playing. Like, we gotta act like they're like the best team in the world or something. Just gotta give it our all. We can't not like think we're gonna win automatically.
It's going to be a fun series for sure. Definitely one that I think a lot of people will be paying attention to, as you guys have, both of you have crept to the top of the NUIC North action. But on top of that, I've talked about it in previous podcasts over the past several weeks, but the NUIC has a great opportunity to have a team representing itself past super sectionals this year. And with the way that the regionals are breaking out, it's definitely looking like it. We have a couple different teams that have definitely put themselves at the top of that list, you guys being one of them. And with that, you know, this series is drawing a lot of attention, which is a lot of fun, and you can't ask for anything better, in my opinion. Coach, in a championship series like this, what's your message that you'll give your team before the first pitch takes place?
Yeah, we'll probably, we get done with IO and come in and talk to these guys. It'll be, just go play baseball. Can't play tight. Throw the baseball around. These guys make fun of me all the time for saying that. But these guys have played enough baseball. They know what to, they know what to do. You're not going to put too much pressure on these guys. And if something bad happens, it's how we respond back. It's, you just got to respond if some adversity comes to you. So we'll be
You
fine.
guys are off tomorrow, right? No game tomorrow?
Yep. I think we got Lena Tuesday, Thursday, and then Eastland on Saturday. So we got a nice little week coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Eastland's and our team, they tend to be battling at the right time as well. Granted, they're in the South Division, but that South Division's kind of been all over the place this year, and it's definitely raised some eyebrows across that division as well. Brandon, going into practice tomorrow, what does your confidence look like, your team's confidence in preparation this week?
We just gotta keep practicing like we normally do. But we gotta remember that we're 7-1 conference, just like they are. They're just another team in the conference that we can still beat them, because we're as good as they are too.
Kip, what does your toughness or mental toughness look like when nobody's watching?
Yeah, my mental toughness is just no matter if like say I'm just playing like dog crap and I can't bring down the energy of the team. I gotta, cause like if I'm being like negative, then it's just gonna bring the whole team down, and that's just never good. And I just gotta bring those positive vibes and make sure everyone's just playing baseball.
Find yourself being the competitor that you are, that you do bring that good demeanor in every approach, even when things aren't going good for yourself?
Yeah, I just gotta get our team really is like really rides on like momentum and the waves, I guess, and those big hits and matter, and like just having an approach at the plates, like battling out that count, those 3-2 counts, and just like found pitches off and like just getting on base just really like boosts everyone's confidence and shows them that they can do it too.
And coach, what do you feel like your team right now has to guard against? What's one of the things that you see that they cannot allow to have happen?
I think probably this week, especially, plate discipline and our approach to the plate. We got kind of guard against, we don't want to, Matt is going to be pumping it. We know that. He gets a little wild with it at times. We can't expand our zones. Can't chase. We got to get that pitch count up. I'd say that's probably the main thing. And then, our pitching's been really solid. We got limit walks. Walks kill. A leadoff walk is about guaranteed to score, I think, every time I've seen it. So pitchers got to dial in. Batters and defense is what it's going to come down to. So, but I would say the biggest thing, approach the plate this week is going to be the biggest.
And Brandon, what's one habit that's carried you to this point that you keep going back to?
I think especially this year is that mental toughness is like remembering that just one mistake will not ruin your whole game. Like baseball's a funny game where you could at the plate you could fail almost 7%, like 70% of the time, and still be considered great. So just remembering that baseball's a big game of failure and to go get the next one.
Kip, what's one habit that you have that you feel that you're really good at, and then one that you feel could cost you if you slip up at all?
Yeah, so habit I'm really good at is just having an approach at the plate. Really battle, try to get on. I'll really drag out that count. And then something that could happen is a bad habit would be like making a mistake and just like getting in my head and shutting down. I feel like that would cost not just myself but the team. I could just not good.
Brandon, when you look back, what would make this season worth everything for you in your senior year?
I think regional championship at least. We got a great squad. No better time to do it, especially to go out on that. Like winning one freshman year and then coming back to it in senior year would be a great way to finish out my high school career.
Yeah, can't argue with that there. And Kip, what's the standard moving forward, no matter how this season ends? What do you want people to remember Pearl City baseball about?
I was really just like dogs. That team can't sleep on that. We're always coming to play and just you can't take us lightly. It's always a good game when you play us.
Coach, talking about legacy, what do you want this group to be remembered for?
Yeah, I would think, well, obviously, take care of a conference, win a regional, that'd all be great. That hasn't happened much in Pearl City. So, if these guys can get 2 of those in 4 years, I would say that's for them to be a heck of a legacy. But, in general terms, I have being good people, good baseball players. It's kind of what it's more about. The wins and losses and all that stuff is fine, but these guys are gonna grow up and contribute to society and like stuff like that. So we got to be trying to raise good people too, not just baseball players.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, you know, like you said, this week's going to be a huge week. Obviously, it's a lot of fun when you put yourselves into this type of situation. It's what a lot of teams wish they could be in, win or lose. You want to have that opportunity in front of you going into the final week of conference play to be able to play for that conference championship. And, you guys have definitely had that approach all season long. I think a lot of people were surprised with the season sweep of Forreston in the first week of conference play, and you guys have continued to carry that momentum through the regular season as we hit the final third part of the season here before we hit regional play. And, you know, after just getting by you guys here this past week, and you guys putting up back-to-back 11 spots on us, it definitely shows the resolve that you guys have, the character that you guys have. And, like you said, that first game, you guys were down 3-0 for the first 5 innings of the game, and then you battle up back and put up 7 runs in the top of the 6th inning, and then you add on another 4 runs in the top of the 7th inning. That's exactly what you need to have happen. You can't let the bad things continue to compound, and at some point you're going to find a way to break through. And you guys have shown that spirit all season long. And, you know, we want to wish you guys the best of luck this week. Obviously, always a fun time being in a conference championship race. And you guys have definitely put Pearl City baseball at the top of the conference. I mean, you guys have been sitting there battling for the past 5 years now, 4 years. And to finish out your careers with the potential opportunity of another conference championship, being able to host a regional and you know, get your opportunity to play for a regional championship would definitely speak volumes to the legacy that you guys leave behind.
Yeah, I think being able to play at home, gonna get have a big crowd down at Pearl City for the regional. It's obviously home field advantage is a big thing in baseball. So, yeah, we're ready for it.
Now you got that big red monster out there as well, so nobody has to worry about climbing a hill to play left field anymore. It's always a good thing too.
We're trying.
Wish I would have had that a couple of years ago. Case Rocky might have hit a home run against Newman in the championship game, but
Get it up and
but
over.
hey, yeah, we appreciate you guys coming on, taking a time out of a prom weekend at that as well. But thank you guys for coming on the show, talking Pearl City baseball, and we want to wish you guys the best of luck this week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Thanks for having us on. Thanks for how you do NUIC stuff. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll be right back right after this. When the job matters, your equipment can't fail. That's where J&R Rentals delivers. Serving Tri-States area from East Dubuque, J&R Rentals is your local source for dependable equipment. From lifts, trailers, pumps, and job site essentials built to work as hard as you do. Homeowners, contractors, big projects or small jobs, expect the same standard every time. Pickup or delivery is available. Equipment sales, service and repairs, propane refills, reliable equipment from people who know the job. Call J&R Rentals today at 815-747-7707 and get to work. We just got done talking with Ryne Plager of Pearl City along with Brandon Hille and Kip Martens. And a great thing about their program is the fact that they continue to compete year in and year out. The results might not always be there, but the consistency in how to approach them always is. They're always a tough out, and this year they put that foot forward, leading to a 13-4 record, along with a 7-1 record in the NUIC North as we head into the final week of conference play. And of course, that big matchup with Lena-Winslow looming ahead this week in their series to determine who the NUIC North champion is. And the last time Pearl City won a conference title was back in 2023. Also the same year that they won a regional championship as well. And this year they are the regional host. And being with that said, they are looking to knock down a potential top 4 seed, which would definitely place them into the regional semifinal round. And with that, they would also likely get paired up with either a Galena or Lena-Winslow team, depending on how things shake out here this week in their regional field. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But there's a lot of great things to look ahead as this week comes into the fold. Taking a look across the conference in baseball, Pearl City versus Lena-Winslow is going to be the matchup that will determine the NUIC North champion. A series split would create a co-conference championship. A sweep by either team will give them the NUIC championship in the North Division outright. In the West Division, Galena has a game with River Ridge Scales Mound and a makeup game with East Dubuque. So a series with River Ridge Scales Mound and a win over East Dubuque in a makeup game would put Galena as the NUIC West Conference champions. Currently, they are sitting in first place. However, if they do lose one of those games this upcoming week, that series split with Fulton is going to be one of those areas where it could create a tie for that conference championship. But right now, Galena in the driver's seat. Again, they play East Dubuque tomorrow and then follow that up with Rivers Scales Mountain in their season series conference finale. In the South Division, it's Morrison versus Milledgeville to determine the NUIC South. That'll be an interesting play out as well, as both teams are playing at a high level. Morrison was the conference champions a season ago, looking to repeat as conference champions once again. They are coming off of a tough 19-2 loss to a Dakota team here recently as they head into this week with Milledgeville. So we'll see how they can bounce back from that loss and turn it into conference play against Milledgeville here with the conference championship on the line. Also on the baseball front, Xander Turney of East Dubuque sets the new stolen base record with 73 career stolen bases. So congratulations to Xander on becoming the school's all-time stolen base leader. Looking at softball, taking a look at some of these series, the NUIC North belongs to Dakota. They play Pecatonica this week to finish out NUIC North action, provided that they sweep the series. As the expectation is, they would win the NUIC North title. In the West Division, Warren-Stockton has a makeup game with East Dubuque, plus they have a series with Fulton. And with that, Warren-Stockton currently is in first place in the NUIC West, but a slip-up against any of these teams could put one of them into the conference co-championship or the forefront for the conference lead. So Warren-Stockton has a big week ahead with that series makeup game with East Dubuque, along with the full series against Fulton, as the NUIC West is going to be determined on what happens this week as well. And then down in the South Division, it's a repeat of what we saw in baseball. It's Morrison versus Milledgeville as they battle for the NUIC South Conference Championship. Morrison also was the defending champion a season ago, looking to repeat as conference champions once again. Also on the softball forefront, Fulton's Zoe Kunau sets another school record, this one with 17 career triples. She now holds, I believe it's 6 or 7 school records, and she's only a junior, guys. She's coming back next year and can definitely expand upon those records that she has been setting and putting in place. So congratulations to Zoe on another remarkable performance there. And taking a look at track and field, a huge meet this past week saw Lena-Winslow finish third at the Oregon Hawk Classic. And with that, it's one of the top finishes that Lena-Winslow has had. There was some debate on how that would look because according to the Lena-Winslow boys track Twitter page, they had stated it was the first time in school history the guys earned a third place trophy. But in 2013, it was found that Lena-Winslow did win the track event as well there. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out here. But with that said, Lena-Winslow finished in third. Morrison, the defending state champs in Class 1A, finished in 5th. Amboy finished in 11th. Milledgeville Eastland in 13th. Dakota in 16th. Forreston Polo also tied with Dakota in 16th. And then Du-Pec track finished in 18th place. So that gives you a rundown of what the track looked like here at the Oregon Classic. And should be a lot of fun looking forward. Obviously, one of the things that really stood out was the running of Morrison's Brady Anderson. He is the defending 1A state champion in the 100 meters. He won the 100, 200, and 400 meters, and in the same process set new tournament records with a 10-7 time in the 100 meters, which beat Mark McLean of Aquin back in 1989. He's also won the 200 meter as well, and then won the 400 meter. He won the 200 meter in a time of 21.63, holding off his teammate Levi Mulder, who had a 21.84. Alex Schlichting from Lena-Winslow finished at 22.22 in third place. And in the 400, he had a time of 43.27 as well. The 4x100 team also won the leg for Morrison. So Morrison definitely starting to look like a team that they were a season ago, trying to defend that team state championship. Brady Anderson, Levi Mulder, and Alex Schlichting, all three of the top sprinters from the NUIC. All three are top sprinters in the state of Illinois. They are also looking to continue their run towards the Blue Oval at Eastern Illinois later this month. And on another note, Amboy's Ian Hassler, a freshman, won the discus competition in a tie. With that, the tie went to him winning because his second throw was longer than the guy that he was up against, which was Isaac Wills of Indian Creek. So congratulations to Ian Hassler on that winning throw as well. So there's a lot of things coming up this week. We have the softball seedings are going to be released the following week. So the week of the 11th, the baseball seedings will come out as we continue to drive towards the end of the regular season for both baseball and softball. And of course, the state track meet is going to be coming up before long for track as well. So there's still quite a bit to look forward to. The conference meet will be coming up for track and field. Final conference play ends this week for both baseball and softball. And then we'll be moving into regional action for softball coming the week of May 16th, or that's not the 16th, it'd be the 18th, the week of May 18th, and then baseball the week of May 25th. So a couple weeks away from that happening, but seedings coming out this week for softball, next week for baseball. Should give us a great picture of what's to come as we continue to get to the end of the 2026 spring sports season, but still a lot of big games out there. Conference championships on the line this week. Should be a lot of fun. Get out to those games, root for your teams. As always, root for the NUIC. We'll see you next week.